So 3 Democratic senators, some states that President Trump won in 2016, voted to convict him in the trial this week. They include Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, and yesterday I spoke to his Republican colleague in that state, Senator Shelley Moore Capito, who claims that West Virginians are, quote, mystified by his vote.
Well, I can tell you it's not being received well here at home. Probably Senator Schumer just pulled the noose a little tight and said, "Come on, everybody, we're gonna jump off this cliff together." And back here in West Virginians, they're very surprised.
So that was from yesterday. Today, Senator Manchin wanted a chance to respond to that as he's watching it back in his home state. He's here to respond now. And Senator, thank you for your time. Your first TV interview from the vote on Article 1 and Article 2 that came down on guilty, ultimately acquitted, as you well know. What do you think of what Senator Capito had to say about that?
Well, Shelley's my friend, and we just see this different. And we've talked about it, but we see it different. And I think Shelley knows. I don't know why the statement was made. Who knows? But the bottom line is Shelley knows me well enough that no one can pull my chain or tie a noose around me or do any of that. I'm the most conservative Democrat in all of Congress. I vote more in a bipartisan line than anybody else. So my goodness, I've taken some tough votes that was very unpopular with the caucus, and I'm sure that Schumer and everybody else might not have been happy with it, but it was a vote that I could live with. And I said, if I can come home and explain it, Bill, I can vote for it. I can explain this vote. It might not be popular in my state right now, and we'll just see. History will tell, but the bottom line is the evidence was very clear, and I was hoping, I truly was hoping, that we would see evidence and we would see new witnesses that maybe could give some doubt or clarity to it. But what we saw was overwhelming.
You floated the idea of a censure that went nowhere. How do you go from censure to guilty on both counts?
Well, I was looking to see if there was anyone that was willing to slow this down and let's see if we can get more input. And I thought censure might have been a way that we could have gotten a bipartisan. And I wanted it to be bipartisan. I did everything I could. But my goodness, everyone was already in the trenches. They weren't moving at all. And I mean, I labored over this, and it was the most difficult decision I've ever made since I've been in Congress or in public life. And I've never been on jury duty before, to sit and listen to all of the testimony back and forth and back and forth. And I took the president at his word when he said, I can't not get a fair trial in the House, but I definitely can get one in the Senate. I wanted to make sure he did. So I wanted to make sure that he got witnesses what he said he wanted. And I thought that would be clarity to it. That never came. The game plan was basically, I guess, only 2 ways you can look at this. If you're not going to give us any new witnesses and defense is not going to fight, then they're going to say it's non-defendable, the charges that were made, or you already had the count on the jury and the jury was yours. Yeah. But that's not the oath I took, Bill.
You know how popular the president is in your home state.
Sure, I do.
I think you've got 3 more years in your term, 2022. You tweeted out that
2024.
I apologize. I won't get the math wrong on that one. You tweeted out that politics had no factor in your decision. Now, what do you say to the people back home about that?
I just said, you know, people have known me I'm 37 plus years in public service in many different positions and in governor. And the bottom line is they don't always agree with some of the decisions I've had to make, but I think they all know that I'll take a very serious position and look at it and do my due diligence, and I did. I didn't study anything more thorough than this. And the thing that kept getting into it was basically the Federalist 65, when Hamilton labored over this more than anything else, impeachment, involvement in foreign government. There was no doubt that what the president, the phone call, was in reference to basically Zelensky doing a favor, and here we are trying to protect and promote democracy around the world. The most powerful person in the world calls the most inexperienced new leader of a country that's fighting Russia in their own backyard. And that's just an affront I couldn't get over. And when the only defense that was made, Bill, was Dershowitz, Professor Dershowitz, saying, if the president does it, if it's in the best interest of the country, and that means him doing whatever, even for his election, then it's okay. And I can't get there, Bill. That's not what the Constitution says.
Jerry Nadler was asked whether or not they're going to investigate again, and he gave an indication that they're willing to pursue other avenues of investigation. Do you think this comes back?
They're crazy if it
perhaps
comes back,
in the next
Bill.
year.
They're crazy.
Do you think you think they're crazy?
Well, I'm hoping that the president has learned that, Mr. President, we are equal powers. We were designed differently than any other. any other government, any other nation.
I understand where you're going with that answer, but I'm asking you, would you support your Democratic colleagues pursuing this again?
No, absolutely not, unless the president continues and using rogue proxies such as Rudy Giuliani running around playing with foreign policy from the election process. I would think that the president would not do that, and I don't think if he didn't realize he had done it, it did happen, and it's got to stop. And if one person who's voted with him, one person who's had a good relationship with the president, if it moved me that much, because I usually give him the benefit of the doubt, this moved me that much, then I would hope that he would take just a pause and say, hey, we're not doing this anymore. Rudy, you're out of the game now. We're not playing this anymore.
Okay. Senator, thank you for your time.